This is Doomcast number 54. My name is Doug Owen, and I'm joined by the ever vigilant and slightly cranky, but happy to be here, I'm sure, Charlie McGrath. It's good to be with you for our weekly podcast. Thank you for downloading it and or listening to the live stream. Of course, you can do that at doomcast.com.
Blah, 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 whatever.
Give it to me, Charlie McGrath.
I'm cranky, Owen. I'm cranky. I've had a bad week. The world's falling apart.
Yeah. Oh, ay.
Yeah, it sucks. It's a sucky week.
Tell me about it. I do want to hear. I'm empathetic.
I don't think you give a shit. You just want to make sure I'm here. That's all.
You do it. I'm cracking the whip. The Doomcast. Just do it, Charlie McGrath. I don't care. I don't care if it drives you into the ground.
I'm there. 4 a.m. yesterday morning, which would have been not this morning, which is Thursday. So 4 a.m. Wednesday morning, I roll out of bed with the asthma issue going on, and I try to nurse this thing out because sometimes you just can do that. You can nurse them out, so you don't have to take extraordinary action. Well, at 8 in the morning, I realized 4 hours into it, it was just continually going downhill. So I spent from 8 a.m. till about 1 p.m. In the ER here in Bozeman, Montana, trying to get this thing down and under control, which I finally did, but no sleep, 4 a.m. until I finally rolled into bed last night at 9 o'clock, and I'm back out of bed again at 6 to go to work a 10-hour day, then rolling in here and doing – now I'm just sounding like a baby. I do sound like a baby. Rolling in here doing my rinse program, then I'm doing On Point, now I'm doing Doomcast, and you're busting my balls because my damn speaker you say isn't good enough. Yet every time I listen to Doomcast, it sounds fantastic.
It's because I make it work. I make it work every time.
Then just make it work. You're a good man. You're good. You're awesome.
I'm sorry. It's going to take you a second there. You know, the audio has to be level. Otherwise, people complain and they don't want to listen to the podcast. It has to be somewhat audible.
Now I feel bad. I jumped on your back.
Yeah. Well, I care about the show, and I care about your well-being, and I want people to listen to the show so it continues to reach new people and continues to interest us. So, I don't know.
You're doing a good job of covering my whining. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
That's what's going to be. Hey, sorry. Sorry, guys. Charlie couldn't make it this week because he died. He died, and he's no longer with us.
Well.
And Charlie,
I don't even have a good
I forgive you for stabbing me over that little disagreement we had last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how I guess maybe I need to have some kind of way to notify you when it does, when it finally just pushes me to the edge. And you know what? There's just a lot of shit going on too, Doug, that I'm just fed up with. I'm just fed up with.
That's what this show is. It's a bloodletting. What are you fed up with? I mean, we don't have to do On Point, although I do want to hear about On Point. I do want to hear about all the analysis and coverage that you've been doing over the last few days.
If you want to, I mean, On Point tonight was we covered the Ukraine, and it's only a 20 or 30-minute deal. But if you want, not you, I'm saying if the audience is, go to Sibel Edmonds' site and subscribe. She's got a ton of great stuff over there. And it supports me, that allows me to do this for free. So
we got $25, not free, just $12.50 for you. So people in Seattle get better minimum wage than we do for this show, but that's okay. That's okay.
People in Montana get better minimum wage. What is the minimum wage in Texas? It's got to be over $12.50.
No, it's 7 something. I think maybe 8.
Ay caramba.
No, yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
That is not good. No, I'm looking at which way do you want to go? You're driving the ship tonight, but obviously I'm sure that Ferguson, Missouri is hot and heavy on your mind. And what else? What else you got? Which way do you want to go? I mean, I can go any direction, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great way to go. I mean, we're starting to see the militarized police state and the reaction to just one incident that probably was amongst many, not to mention abject poverty. And you have what's taking place there, and it's pretty wild. I mean, you see who the target is. The police are, of course, attacking the reporters and are doing their best to shield the media and themselves from any kind of scrutiny.
Sure.
So a lot of these laws that we've seen over the last 10 years have been designed not really to, I mean, yes, to suppress the domestic public, but also to go after media and be able to, create a
go after the wrong
stopgap.
kind of media. Go after
Right.
the wrong kind of media. The media that isn't.
I mean, they're going after mainstream media, CNN reporters. I mean,
Right.
everybody. The police are. Now the FBI is like, oh, we have to go in there. We're going to take over, which is pretty interesting. I mean, there's a narrative happening here. I don't know if you've listened to any of the tapes, but Anonymous, which, probably has a little bit of FBI infiltration. We know about Sabu and some of the other things that have happened under Anonymous. Not that everybody's part and parcel, and believe you me, I am a fan of anonymity and everything that they have done to bring us really riveting information. So not to you definitely don't want to go after the hackers. I mean, those are the people keeping I think government transparent and honest. Unfortunately, it has to be that way because government's just not going to self-regulate, and you're seeing that play out. But yeah, so anyway, the police tapes were released, and so I mean, what's your perception? I mean, you have two sides to this story, and you have two perspectives. I was listening to Rush Limbaugh and saying, well, the media is going after the police, of course, and they're going to do anything they can to demonize what's happening here. It is the police responsibility to, I mean, regardless of the situation.
How do you not demonize the police in this? How does he glorify the police in this?
Well, I mean, somebody's got to stop people from looting. I mean, that's not a great response, but we see that.
I thought you were okay. Excuse me. I thought you were going back.
If the police. Okay, here's the debate. Okay, if the police have any role in society, it is to protect private property. So, what do you do when a city's being ransacked, regardless of the motivating force? And I think we can always look at the police and how heavy-handed they are and paramilitarized and how they probably treated the community. That's what really the backstory here, all the things that led up to this flashpoint.
Yeah.
But when it comes to containing and protecting property, I mean, that's kind of what they do. But the problem is, and now people are seeing it, it gives us an opportunity to talk about the 1033 procurements of military weapons through this huge program to basically militarize the police. I mean, the reason that they don't want you seeing the imagery is because it is draconian. It is something that you expect to see in a third world nation where cops with masks going after and basically firebombing people, using chemical weapons against the people. I mean, the overreaction and the fact that it's this militarized force and it's treating the citizenry because they're dressed that way and because they've been trained that way as if they're insurgents, as if they are subhuman, and that is what's so disturbing.
Yeah, it is very disturbing. It is a militarized force. They are out there, and Craig and I talked about this last night on Wide Awake News Radio. Not only are they out there in force, they're out there in force, pointing. I mean, just in their squad formations, pointing their weapons at civilians. Not reacting, pointing their weapons at civilians. At the same time, on top of these MRAPs, they have these tactical operation units that are sitting there in sniper style positions, and it is unbelievable that this is a small town Missouri, United States of America. It does look like Beirut. It looks like what's going on in Gaza, and unfortunately, Doug, it's going to continue to go down this path as we see more frustration because of the disparity. You're talking about minimum wage, but I have some stats that bear out the trajectory of the middle class, the ever dying middle class. So on the lower echelons of the socioeconomic level, it's going to continue to get worse and worse. And when you have a fascist style police state that is just trigger happy and wanting to fire up these crowds, these mobs, more flashpoints are going to occur, my friend.
I couldn't agree more with your sentiment there. And I think that what we really have to look at is the underlying reason. And that is because people live in abject poverty. Not saying that I'm a socialist and we should all give them a welfare check or any of those things. It's just that
I'd rather give it to them than the banks.
Well, yeah, the rentier class, the rent seekers, all of those other parasitic aspects. I mean, sure, because if anything, it's going to serve you and your community much better than some, central banker putting billions of dollars into a too big to fail bank an institution that doesn't provide anything. At least if you're paying people, they're less likely to riot. They're less likely to sack the local grocery stores. So I think that the shame is, of course, I put it on the tax paying or tax paid for paramilitary police, because they are ultimately responsible for enforcing laws. And I mean, if they can't abide by their own laws and the laws of the land, then how can you expect them to enforce them? Poor people rioting, that's nothing new. It's not really shocking. So that's why I don't think that they really have a leg to stand on in the debate over whether this is heavy-handed or justified. The police don't have to push people and 10-on-1 and hit them with gas grenades. You can just let people tire themselves out. At some point, people would get bored with protesting, and if all they were doing was protecting the property and stopping people from looting Piggly Wiggly in the dollar store, then it would be a whole different situation. You wouldn't have the FBI there now.
That's right, but this ain't about protecting. I mean, let's be honest here. This is my personal opinion. I'm speaking for Doug Owen, but a cop's job is to treat you as an ATM machine for the state. This is the view I have. If you're driving down the street, you are seen as a rolling ATM machine for police to go extract money out of you. But as far as my perception of them as somebody who's going to come to the defense of my house if it's being threatened, or the defense of my business, please give me a break. And what they're showing now is just this disgusting flexing of their muscle with these paramilitarized police forces, and they're not stopping anything. They're not protecting anything. They're fomenting this hostility. So, as far as their job as protectorates go, I ain't buying it for 1 minute. I think they're more instigators.
Well, yeah, and people call them. Somebody's alarm system calls the police. So it's not to say that I don't think that most of these people necessarily want to be there, that want to have to get demonized by the press, that want to have their pictures on TV. I'm just guessing. I mean, I don't think that everybody that's in the police department are bad people, but good people do bad things all the time, and that's why you have to have accountability, and that's why in government it has to be of the highest. I mean, you can't hold other people accountable if you can't hold government officials in the handling of the situation. But it shows you that this is what your local PD may do if things get out of control. And
let's face it, Ferguson, Missouri isn't like a sprawling metropolis.
I'd never heard of it.
Granted, they have the tactical operations unit rolling out of St. Louis, and now they're pulling them out because they're out of hand, and they have the Missouri State Troopers in there, and the FBI and the Department of Justice. Just a complete and utter disgusting.
Barack Obama stopped playing golf for about 5 minutes to do a little speech about it and give his condolences.
It's that big of a deal. It's that big of a deal.
Al Sharpton's there. The rest of the tragedy pimps and provocateurs are there. I've gotten several emails asking about, do you think that this is completely staged by the FBI? Do you think this is provocatory? I don't put anything past, a good media distraction. I think a lot of what we see on TV is completely made for fiction. And that brings us. Do you have any other thoughts about? Obviously, no. I hope people do the rational thing and stop.
Destroying your own neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, find a better neighborhood, somebody that you could really hold accountable. I mean, you hit it on the head. I've always said this.
At least where you could loot some nicer stuff.
Yeah, don't burn your own neighborhood down. Burn somebody else's neighborhood down. I mean, otherwise they're not going to really care.
Well, it is, and it's something Eric Lovely and I talked about a little while ago. When it comes to mobs and the leaderless mobs, and they always inevitably just turn in
rabble.
Yeah. That's rabble, and that's unfortunate to say, but look what they do. Mobs are mobs, and they'll destroy where they're sitting. They'll eat themselves rather than go after, the corruption that has frustrated them. And so you got to wonder how many of these people are out there just truly enraged over the death of this poor young unarmed kid, or how many of them are out there just looking for an opportunity to get, some free big screens?
Right. Right.
I hate to say that, but come on, man. Really?
Yeah. See, that's the problem I think that you have with this, because there's no good moral underlying justification for the violence. This isn't really I mean, I understand that the government, killing people, or a police officer shooting an unarmed person, that's tragic, and it should be, through the justice system, it should be handled. And I completely understand the frustration, because if you look at the prejudices that you will probably find, and government doesn't necessarily always see, you're not going to get justice, and people understand that. And that's why they're so frustrated. They're like, well, this could go to court, but they're just going to say that it was justified, and the police officer. So people don't see a system that represents them at all. I mean, here's a great example of that, and that is, I'm sure you noted this, that your wants, the people's wants, almost have zero effect on what government does. This is a study, it came out of Breitbart, and it really does show that these interest groups, political elites, university academics, other darlings of the Fortune 500s, completely control this government. This statistical research looked at public attitudes on nearly 1,800 policy issues and determined that this is going to be a shocker to you. I know that you brace yourself, Charlie McGraw.
I'm ready.
The government almost always ignores the opinions of average citizens and adopts the policy preferences of moneyed business interests when shaping the contours of U.S. laws. Now, see, people that are just, cynical like you have always thought this, and I've always thought, don't trust the man. Don't trust anybody over 30. And I'm 36 now, and I think that's probably still not a bad motto to live your life by, but I mean, this proves why so many people are disenfranchised. Yes. Not just the poor people, but people like you and I and the politically aware, because screw.
You have no voice. You have no voice.
You have a voice, but just nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, that's good. That's the correct way to say it. Yeah, we have a voice, but nobody cares. Nobody cares it's making policy unless Doggone. And is my audio okay? Because I moved this mic around. Okay. Unless a camera's on, and then they'll placate to your sensibilities, regardless if they feel you live in the blue team camp or the red team camp. They'll say whatever they need to say. But at the end of the day, studies like this that you're referring to show the reality. They could give two rats' ass about what you want or what's best for this country. One quick thing I want to talk about or I want to give as an example is a study that came out on August 11th that showed the highest profit, the second highest profit in 23 years to the too big to fail institutions, for a total of $40.24 billion so far in August of 2014. I say second because it only comes in slightly underneath the riches raked in by these too big to fail institutions to the tune of $40.36 billion last year. Now, these poor bankers, they go in this Wall Street Journal article talking about how they did this despite the government regulation, this government regulation that's hamstringing them. And in fact, at the same exact time where we have bankers crying because they have to fight tough government regulations, they're taking in record amount of profits. You have the Internal Revenue Service that is going to, for the first time in the history of this country, go over $3 trillion in tax revenue. And they're getting this on the backs of not only the workers now, because there's just not enough money, they're stealing from the future in order to do it. It breaks down to $29,000 per full-time job is now grabbed every year in tax revenue, and $9,000 in part-time work.
Wow.
Now, that all sounds bad, and it is. But just to prove the point on who's, like Doug, you're talking, who's writing legislation and who this legislation is benefiting, according to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the total average of your income, and I'm not talking the poorest segments of Ferguson, Missouri. I'm talking middle class. The middle class, it made $62,000 on average in 2008, is now at $47,000, or a decrease in income, real income, of 23%. So we see what is the end result when we are placated to by Washington, yet when they're really writing policy for a bunch of special interests. This special interest grows at all-time rates and makes money hand over fist. The taxation occurs in order to fund the saving of these institutions and our real-time income. I know I'm working harder to make the same amount of money, Doug Owen, and I don't think I'm a standalone here.
No, and it's people like you and I and a lot of the listeners out there, between, I would say, anybody that makes between $35,000 and $1 million a year. We're all together in this tax class that actually pays usually over 50% of our wages in taxes at some point. Whether you're buying gasoline and you're paying a gas tax on top of the state tax, on top of the sales tax, federal tax, and if you got that money from some kind of asset or investment, then you profit to taking out your 401k because you're completely broke. Whatever it is, you're paying some penalty, some other tax or fee. I was dealing with one of these red light camera deals. It's a total scam. Boy. It's a total scam. They have this deal taking pictures out there, and I made a right on red. I completely stopped. There's a police officer in the photo right across the street diagonally from me, and there's no number you can call. It's some company that's in Arizona. I reside in Austin, Texas, so it's some company that's not even in Texas that contacts you to send you this little nasty gram and showing you pictures of your vehicle and saying this is you. And then they have this faux officer, badge number 1234. His name is John Snowden. And John Snowden.
Are you kidding me?
This is such a scam. And we've even had our local Fox on Your Side investigates deal going on, and of course the Texas Supreme Court, I think 2 times now, has ruled that these things are unconstitutional. You can't just have robots giving you tickets, at least not yet. I mean, that's
it's coming, but right.
It's here. I mean, it did, and now they even made the meeting time.
Wait a minute. So did you have to pay this fine? Are you supposed to pay this fine?
Well, this is what I did. I requested them to. I wanted a hearing, and you can do that through mail, and then they give you a time, and it's at 8:30 p.m. Ended up doing the Doomcast instead of going to this hearing. So now I'm expecting something in the mail, or either to get an alert on my credit report that I owe $100 to this private corporation. They'll probably just take me to small claims court. So it becomes this extrajudicial penalty fine fee that you pay that is a profit sharing with the local police department. So when you're going back to what you said earlier, that this is just a profit.
Unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
It's such a scam. But if nothing else, at least I'm like gumming up their little plan for easy cash. It's like, I'm gonna chase these guys down, and I'll make you mail me 15 different letters and waste the ink and waste the postage. At least you're it's not going to be as cheap as you thought it was.
They're trying to do that. They tried to do that in Montana, and there is traffic cam lights everywhere, but it's illegal. It is unconstitutional to be written a ticket by a computer or by a camera or by a robot. So they can't enforce it here. So there is no fines yet. The infrastructure's in place.
Sure,
but
there's special ones. There's special cameras. They don't look like the regular ones that are on every corner. They're tied into the Department of Homeland Security and the fusion centers. Part of the total information awareness. They're just private. They're private ones.
I hate the.
It's the public-private scam with all of that. Speaking of which, we were talking about the minimum wage and where that's going, and poor people, and there's this new robot that can make 160 hamburgers per hour. And
are you kidding? Oh my God.
Yeah, and the economy will tank because now all of these minimum wage fast food workers are the manufacturing base. They've rigged those numbers that when you hear manufacturing jobs, you're a sandwich artist. Nothing against sandwich artists, but that's not a manufacturing job. I mean, you're manufacturing sandwiches, but that shouldn't count. That's
exactly. It's not a durable good you're working on here.
Just one of these ways to make things look different. It's putting some lipstick on a pig. So,
that's exactly what it is. So get me back to the robot burger flippers. Well, I'm assuming.
Well, I mean,
McDonald's
this is the
got
thing.
it.
I mean, the market and technology and tools and there's this great documentary. It's at blacklistedRadio.com. I should put it on. I'll put it on Doomcast.com, and it says humans need not apply, and all of these low wage jobs that they're trying to get, high paying, 15 to upwards of $20 per hour, pay for part time employees. Which, 20, 30 years ago, I mean, these were the jobs that high school kids had. It wasn't a full-time career to work at McDonald's. It wasn't it's just different. I mean, that was just the low rung. You weren't trying to nurse a welfare class on minimum wage. But, so what happens is people say, well, we can't pay people $20 an hour. I can just get a robot right here to make burgers instead of hiring, 5 high school kids or a few, adults. I mean, the local Whataburger here, I like them a lot because, they hire some people that, are mentally debilitated or whatever the politically correct term is. People that need fast food jobs that, are providing tasks. I mean, those are the kind of people you expect to have jobs there, people that are trying to work their way through college. That is not where we're at today. And so when there's robots and technology replacing so much of that, that workforce, I mean, think about just the internet, how that's changed storefront businesses. I see, these huge strip malls being built everywhere with all of these products and things that you can just buy on Amazon, sunglasses, things that you're going to be able to print in your house on your MakerBot in 10, 15 years. What happens to all those people? So that used to occupy these jobs. I mean, it's
I guess they go into the MakerBot factory.
Think about
the MakerBots.
Perfect example. Okay, if they just had a 10% flat tax or some other very simple system to tax people that was fair, equitable, that people understood, how many hundreds of thousands of people that work seasonally at H&R Block, tax attorneys, all of these people would immediately be unemployed, irrelevant, no longer needed. If you didn't need some magician to do his magic when you go to court, to use all of the legal terminology that you're not allowed to use to
right.
get, then if it was just transparent, like what the law was, and you were aware of it, then we wouldn't need all of these people. So
the same argument can be made for the prison industrial complex,
right?
If we didn't have it, if we had true justice in this country, but you would instantly have 2 million people on the streets, 2 million that are convicted for victimless crimes.
See, everybody's vested, and so everybody's
right.
like, well, don't take my gig. Don't take my gig. I mean, go after those other people over there. They're doing worse things than me over here.
That's why the neocons, in my mind, are the largest hypocrites in the history of the planet, because they want freedom and free markets, fair trade, unless it means that it's the their investments getting hurt because they happen to invest in a too big to fail institution that would not be in existence right now if it wasn't for this corporate welfare state. And in reality, they don't want this corporate welfare state to go anywhere, because as soon as it does, it's going to be the end of their 401k or whatever they're looking at as their shiny little neocon investment. So it's disingenuous when you see these folks point their finger at the folks in Ferguson, Missouri, and say, "Oh, rabble! How could they be so upset?" And these people are scum. But in the reality of the world is, as soon as we stop investing our future to save a bunch of banks, we're all going to look like this for a little bit. It's all going to be a shaking out, and I think there's going to be equitable amounts of pain to go around.
Well, yeah, for people that are not well positioned and ultimately,
I don't know if anybody's going to be well positioned. Eventually. I mean, I think everybody's going to feel some pain and suffering.
Well, everybody feels pain and suffering if you're in I mean, it's true. It's true. Yeah. I think everybody's feeling pain and suffering. I think if you're not feeling pain and suffering, then you didn't live in the 90s when I did, and it was great. And I was in high school making $17 an hour, and $17 an hour would get you a lot farther in the world than it will today. And
Get
housing
a lot of
prices
beer down there in Austin, Texas, won't it? $17 an hour.
Oh man, housing prices. You could get an apartment in Austin for $400 or $500 a month. That wasn't too scary. I mean, a decent 1 or 2 bedroom apartment for $300, $400, $500.
What's it running now?
Oh man, in Austin proper, probably at least 1,100. For something really small, under 1,000 square foot. Pretty small stuff. Pretty small stuff. Hey, you know what? One of the things that we do here is we don't sell corporate advertising. We don't sell your attention or the conversation, the talking points to corporate investors. We're not like the whores on the hill. We're not like Barack Obama. We're not on a golf course pretending that we're commanding things. We do this show each and every week. And one of the things you could do is support us. That's the most important thing. And I want to thank the people that have in the past, and that hopefully some of the discussion and the bloodletting will lead you to do that in the very near future. We do have a new option for those out there. So I put this to the people that send us emails saying, I would donate to the Doomcast if you would accept Bitcoins. We now have a Bitcoin option. It's pretty cool.
Woo-hoo!
We are accepting BTCs via BitPay, which is one of the leaders in Bitcoin transference. So if you have BTC, you can transfer in a multitude of different currencies. So if it has a little calculator on the page. It's pretty cool. So if you're trying to figure out how many euros you want to give us in Bitcoin, it does that conversion for you. So that way you don't have to do a bunch of funky math and try to figure out what the Bitcoin's worth and what you're actually giving. And that's one of the things that I think that's always been kind of a hindrance or the ceiling, a limiter for Bitcoin, is that it confuses people because they don't know what, it's just like an exchange, money exchange. It's like, oh, I got to think, I got to do math. Oh, so, to make it acceptable to the masses, you have to be able to do that kind of conversion. And if I think it's intuitive, then I believe that I'm a great beta tester and always have been. I've been able to break things that people thought were unbreakable. Yeah,
you can break an anvil, is what you're saying?
Yeah, for sure. And
let me think real quick. I mean, we got Kokeshi M. I don't know Kakashi. Do you know that? Have you heard that name before?
No.
This might be a new contributor.
Cool.
This was donated through
it's not David Kokesh. No, just kidding. No,
kind of like that.
No, that's Koresh. Never mind.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's not
bad connotation. Bad connotation.
This isn't the Branch Davidian guy. No. If it is, then he's pretty miraculous because he's been dead for 2 decades. No, Kokeshi M, $5. Thank you very much. We appreciate the donation, no matter how what the size is. And we got Matthew G paying us. This was through Doomcast, Wide Awake News and Doomcast, $20. So thank you very much. Oh wait, we got a little thing here. Keep it up, keep the faith, and I'll keep donating. All right. And after your discussion on keep it chatty versus keeping it doomy, I say what's in your heart and damn the ratings.
Damn,
God, there you go. I like this guy.
There you go.
He's 100% right. Damn I don't care about the ratings. Well, that ain't true. I bug you about it.
Well, yeah.
I don't though. This is the hour to unload.
The ratings have been up on the downloads for Spreaker. I mean, exponentially, up to over 2,000 on just iTunes alone. So
we're kicking ass, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, even if we're not getting the same amount of video views, I think a lot of people are kind of migrating over, and that's good because we pay for that system and we have it all archived. And
well, let me give you. I don't even know right now. It's been such a hellish week. Not to sound like a
you need one of the. You know what you need? You need a hot cup of coffee and one of the fine Doomcast.com mugs that you can get at blacklistednation.com.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea.
No, that's native advertising. You won't get much of that.
That was
on the
native.
Show. I'm sorry.
Let's see.
I apologize.
We're over 1,000. Let's see. Is it? But
good.
We're over 1,000, 1,100 views on the YouTube. So a couple thousand. On what do you say on Spreaker?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to.
So wait a minute, I don't want to sound like a panhandler, but how do we have a constant 3,000 or 4,000 views and $25? How does that happen, Doug?
Well, we have to get a pie chart.
There's no commercial here.
I have to make a pie chart on my Windows 8 machine here. I'll spend a few thousand hours figuring that out.
A little slide rule action going on, and There is no advertising on this. This is just.
I have an abacus right in front of me. I'm going to use this.
And it comes with we thank the people who support the program, but we need more support. We need your support.
See, look at this, okay? Do you want
did sound like an abacus.
You should. It was great. So you want some salacious Hollywood gossip?
I do. Whoa. Is it Robin Williams autoasphyxiation? Yeah, I can't say it. Autoasphyxiation. What is it?
You know where you choke yourself and you get off?
Yeah, you're wanking it and you choke yourself.
And choking your chicken.
Do you think that's real? Do you think that happened?
I don't know. No, I was going to actually just mention briefly the Hollywood studios are now blacklisting Penelope Cruz and her husband, Javier Bardem, for daring to make a pledge alongside Gaza. She tweeted out, "Gaza is living through horror while the international community does nothing," end quote. And so, according to the Hollywood Insider, they have been, let's see, a top Hollywood producer has reported to the Hollywood Reporter that they are now going to be blacklisted. And so, Hollywood
for that.
Well, and it's not just that. It's not even that I necessarily believe that this is some big producer that's going to not hire Penelope Cruz, but I think that this is a way to try to speak to the people out there that are able to speak to millions, that have the stage at Hollywood, and trying to get them in line, saying, look, if you dare jump outside of the I guess conformed reality that they or perception reality that Israel is just defending itself, then they're going to go after you, and you're gonna suffer for that. So that's one of the things that we don't have to worry about with this show, because we don't have to shop it to advertisers that can go after Charlie or I for just being absolutely candid, absolutely honest. And
let me be honest, Penelope Cruz is smoking hot.
Yes, that is true.
That's pure, unadulterated, uncoached, unpaid for advertisements for her hotness. Yeah, I see that they're Jack. I don't know Jack Bardem. I don't know if I've seen any of his work, but they're blacklisted now for anti-Israeli open letter.
See,
I just don't get that. I mean, I do get that. I mean, I understand what it's all about, but what a way to control the dialogue through this entertainment, right? To make believe. But man, is it a powerful tool?
It's reality, man. Everybody knows. I mean, this is the thing. She's somebody that's super famous that everybody has an opinion of, that would listen to. Yeah, I mean that just makes it even that more effective when she speaks. People listen. It's amazing. I mean, have you been keeping up with the what's happening in Iraq 2.0? The Yazidis being stranded, the 40,000 Christians. Oops, I mean devil worshippers. Oops, I mean Sufis. The media rabble and the bombings, all of this stuff was happening, and I postulated this theory on my Blacklisted Radio podcast.
Let me hear your
Saturday.
Postulated theory, Doug.
Well, okay, so we had there's been so many of these things with ISIS that have been complete frauds. The genital mutilation, going after women and cutting off their clits, that didn't happen. The takeover of Mosul's dam by the ISIS, or now they call it Islamic State.
Yeah, it's just
IS. Well, and here's the thing: they had to change it. They had to rebrand it, because remember they had the ISIS digital wallet. There's a lot of products that are branded.
Archer the cartoon worked for ISIS.
Yeah,
they had to change it.
Yeah, they had to change it. Yeah, that's funny. If you watch Archer, it's kind of it's funny for insiders because it's so relevant to what we talked about.
No shit.
So anyway, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say that it's so funny because it's this fake. It's fake spy versus spy type thing on Archer, and they happen to work for a company called ISIS. Yeah. So, but I think there was some.
Yeah. I mean, there's this great episode where they're talking about how they're taking cocaine money and using that to fund the friendlies down in Nicaragua, and what all the things they have to run and do, and all these paramilitary units are really actually being run by the CIA. Ha 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 ha. But for people that are kind of politically aware, Doomers out there for sure. Doom Nation would appreciate that, and so it is kind of macabre because it makes fun of a lot of the things or kind of soft pedals some of the stuff that's happening. It's like, oh sure. yeah, just like that one episode of Archer. Well, anyway, the Yazidis weren't stranded. Okay, they bombed the hell out of this place. The Pentagon has stopped all rescue missions. The EU stopped. They've just turned to what's happening now with the FBI. The media is completely retracted and turned away from what's happening in Iraq, and it's gone silent. And so I think that it's pretty amazing that all of this stuff, and I said this Saturday, that the parliamentary woman that was crying about all the people being mass murdered. I said it just smacked of that Kuwaiti diplomat's daughter.
Oh, okay.
The Kuwaiti, you remember the one that said that Saddam Hussein was throwing his guards were throwing the babies out of the incubators. It just smacked of that. And I was watching this video, and I said, how much of this is actually real?
I did the same thing, Doug. Even the ones on the, oh my God, we got to get him on the helicopter, and you got the gunfire going. And I saw these, this crying, and it really reminded me of Newtown when we saw the Newtown massacre and the staged parents getting up there reading from their cue cards. I mean, I got that same impression, Doug. Yeah. Maybe it's our intuition.
Yeah, well, we're skeptics, and we know what the mission is, and it's always been about controlling oil. You have ExxonMobil, Chevron, Marathon Oil Corporation, Hess, all of these groups that are they have their oil wells and a lot of the oil fields being targeted by ISIS. Now we're dropping into Iraq and giving the Kurds, arming the Kurds. I mean, there's been no discussion of whether or not we should arm the Kurds. Congress is, riding shotgun alongside the executive.
Don't you love it? Because every time they want to arm another group, they talk about the Peshmerga, this heroic
Peshmerga. Peshmerga.
Yeah, the Peshmerga, this heroic...
Boingy, Peshmerga.
This plucky bunch of freedom fighters that we got to arm because it is our truly freedom. It's our true ally in this region. We hear that about every one of these guys we arm that later turn out to be the next terrorist cell.
We know that they don't give a damn about the Kurds because on several occasions they've left the Kurds to die. I don't think that anybody in the administration is all that much more interested.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that that would have been the people to arm 30 years ago. If you wanted to arm anybody, the Kurds have at least showed some allegiance. But it's
and they have some structure there. I mean, they do have a functioning.
This thing is it's going to be the new Israel. It's just going to be like 1947. All of a sudden, there's going to be the new Kurdistan, and all the oil contracts will be. First thing,
we'll have the Gaza Strip with the Iraqis in it and that kind of thing.
But
the Iraqi Strip,
sure, why not? Yeah. Well, I don't even think it would be that. I think they'll just have they'll have a new central bank. It'd be like Libya. They'll put together this with a bunch of ex Goldman Sachs employees and.
They'll run that thing into the ground until it's useless. They'll
have a commemorative coin.
Oh, my God. I've watched recently this last weekend War Inc. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
It's so apropos for the situation that we see today. As you said, a Halliburton, what was it, Tannin or something, same red and white letter and logoing, but it just, it's art imitating life, imitating art. And it just so... I don't know. It was hard to stop watching it and be disgusted at the same time, especially what we see going on Middle East and North Africa. But I want to ask you, since I'm looking at the clock here and we're somewhat winding down, Ukraine. What was the talk between me and you last week in Ukraine?
The talk was that this would lead to something, I guess, pivotal or some new move. And I've said that I thought that there'd be. We both agreed at the end of the show that there would be more bloodshed, which there is. Well, I think the numbers
doubled since last week.
Yeah, 2,000 people. You know, and who's counting, and who can you trust that's actually counting the dead? And I don't trust anybody.
I'll tell you, it's not. I mean, I could, that's the thing that drives me crazy about the Israeli-Gaza thing, because I can get updates every 10 seconds. You know, when a missile flies out of Gaza, or when an Israeli airstrike kills somebody. I mean, it's all over it. But come on, this isn't news, right? You've had the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. This is what, 50, 60, 70 years old. And it's news because it draws this ire, but generated by media, that we're supposed to pick sides, and it's covering a story.
Well, I think the Gaza thing is that the IDF directly targets the UN, and so the international community, the international media, and of course this body that is, you know, the global government. It's the New World Order. At least a strong arm of it is being rejected by the IDF, and they continue to bomb and attack civilians. So it's just a PR nightmare.
Which is exactly what Kiev's doing to Eastern Ukraine.
Let's correct that. Kiev's not doing anything. It's what the U.S. CIA is doing. It is what the private contractors that now are fracking, the crap out of the Ukraine. Speak. Yeah, that are trying to stymie the South Stream project, which is. And now we have trade wars. So, I mean, what I think that we're looking at is, a pre-World War II scenario where, the sanctions against Japan ultimately would have forced the Japanese to attack the U.S. eventually. You've got some pretty interesting stuff that's happening. I mean, Switzerland is going to have no cheese. There's not going to be any cheese because they are one of the few countries that produces huge amounts of cheese that's not banned through an embargo now to supply Russia. So there's a lot of big benefactors. Ecuador, South America.
Ecuador's a big one with their 500 or 5,000 tons of bananas are going to start, and their tons and tons of roses are going to start shipping that to Russia. I think of anything.
They're going to have some rose revolution where they just have this tulipation.
Oh my gosh, how CIA appropriate is that? If we had some kind of rose-colored revolution. I do want to thank you for pointing out, though, that it is a Western-backed war, a Western-backed Kiev that's fomenting this war. What do you think? Now, the flashpoint is here. There was incursion today.
I saw that. There's an APC that went across the Russian border, according to a BBC reporter. So
shady reporting too, by the way. Different sources.
Twitter, the new information clearinghouse.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. There's even some video out there that shows some dead bodies, so it must be official.
Yeah.
But I do believe
I'm waiting for the beheadings.
Yes, the beheadings and the clit mutilation, as you were pointing out earlier, which is really disgusting to say. I don't even want to think about that. Ouch.
I don't either, man. It's almost like circumcision. It's just whew.
Worse. Wouldn't it be worse?
How
does that happen?
Let's not go there. It just gets hacked.
You know how? Because I don't.
Yeah, they just hack it.
They just hack it off.
They just chop that.
That way, the woman will never have pleasure in her life.
It's the idea.
That's a rough road to hoe right there.
Yeah, I'm sure that you probably have like one of those phantom ones. Still think it's there. Like losing your arm.
You have a phantom. Oh my God, we've digressed. I do believe.
See,
that
I took it past the point to bring you back to the point.
Thank you. So phantom parts is what we're talking about here. Phantom female parts.
Genitalia.
Oh, we're troubled individuals.
That's why it's not a child-friendly show, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
It is not child-friendly, especially this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about Robin Williams. We should. The drugs.
I know, but before we get into Robin Williams, and was it I can't even say autoerotic fixation that killed him or whatnot? Is that a chicken? Is that a chicken being choked? I hear it.
Yeah.
Nanny. I do believe that, what I said to you last week was probably and maybe I'll have to do the crow sound, is by the next Doomcast, we are going to see Russia involved openly involved in getting into eastern Ukraine. Now, I thought that, with a delay by a day, was going to delay and was going to make me a winner here. This convoy
is this part of your strategy here to
No, I think
you
probably need to play the crow sound because as far as I know, this convoy of 300 some vehicles all painted white, that is going to be the impetus for battling direct Ukrainian. There it is. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, well, you're going to eat the crow. Yeah. This is going to be the impetus for direct hostility between Russia and the Ukraine, which you so wisely pointed out a little bit ago, is not Kiev. It is Washington, D.C. It is the CIA. It is NATO. And once that hot war starts going, can it be just a small endeavor, or will this escalate and roll into something much, much bigger?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, they have to keep the people involved in it. I think that the MH17, is trying to get the Europe on board, and I just don't see this working out long term. And I think that it's kind of short sighted because when you look at the geopolitical implications of an actual hot war, it's not advantageous to either side. I mean, Putin's a billionaire, so he likes being rich. Same thing for John Kerry. I mean, these people enjoy being elite, being superstars. With Vladimir Putin, I mean, he's a national, global icon. They like that. So that's why I don't think that they want to blow up the world necessarily.
I think you're underestimating his. I'm not saying.
I think that he's long term. I don't think that he's a hothead. I don't think that he wants geothermal nuclear war by any stretch of the imagination.
I think he wants glory. I think he looks at the former glory of the Soviet Union and longs for those days and sees his chance to expand.
Maybe.
And sees his chance to expand the Russian Federation to what it used to be, a dominant world player. And
I think that he just wants, what would seem to be pretty reasonable, and that is buffer states around the Russian, capitals, or the Russian, state, the Soviet Union. They want a buffer zone, and he wants neighbors that are friendly with Russia, not so much with the U.S.
I need a ding sound. Can you give me a ding, ding, ding sound? Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, maybe. Do you deserve a ding? I'm not sure.
Well, I do. It's a new segment because with my latest ER visit, I now have to monitor my O2 levels, and I'm going to give you an O2 level and a beats per minute, a pulse rate. I got a pulse oximeter going on my finger right now. You ready?
Oh.
I'm in good shape. I have a oxygen level of 95.
I was worried that this show would kill you. I was really
I'm good right now. I'm flush. I'm flush with oxygen. My pulse rate right now is 70. My blood oxygen is 95. I'm not sure if that's parts per thousand, parts per million, but I can tell you this: if you go below 90, you're having a bad day, and if you go much below 80, you're dead. So I'm glad to see that I'm still in the healthy zone. The lowest I've ever seen it in dire situation is 84, and that was a bad deal. That was you can't talk, you get to go for a ride in a white van with lights on the top of it.
Is that a Department of Homeland Security re-education van?
It
where they
was.
Reprogram
they re-educated me. Yes, they did. Hey, we're about an hour here. I want to hear what you know about Robin Williams. This is pop culture.
I actually heard. I think it was Marlon Wayans. He said something that really made a lot of sense, and it's not necessarily clinical or medical, but said that that he thought, we all know that he was suffering from depression, and that he was under medical care, and pointed at the fact that these drugs, they're supposed to numb you out to the pain that you feel, right? And so in doing that, he believed, and it makes a lot of sense to me, and this is just my opinion, and I think it's worth looking at, that because of that chemical reaction to make you numb to the pain of it, that things that you would not do, that you'd be fearful of, that you would have regret for, because you're in that numb state, you're willing to hang yourself, you're willing to shoot up the school, because everybody's had these delusions of grandeur, going after the bully. I mean, I had all these things, dreams or, hopes and aspirations of killing all the people that have wronged me. That was something, I mean, you think, I mean, I don't know. I had morbid thoughts about people that have wronged me and going after them. Not that I
just got one question.
In reality, I would never do that. I would never do that. No.
Okay, good.
What I'm saying is that, you think about things, but you wouldn't do it.
Listen. I will bare my soul here for the Doomcast audience. I think I've told this story before. When I went through a divorce, going on 15 years ago, there was a month's period of time where I was really full of anxiety. So a doctor put me on Paxil, which the same as Prozac, and it scared the living hell out of me of the amount of shit I did not give about anything. And I immediately, immediately. I mean, I was on it for maybe a month and a half, 2 months. But once it took, a couple of weeks for it to kick in, and the realization that I didn't care about nothing, I dumped it in a New York minute, and I'm terrified of those serotonin reuptake inhibitors to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're already unstable, if you're already depressed, then this might just numb you out to, okay, I can do it. It gives you the bravery that you need. So I thought that was a pretty interesting approach to it. I mean, obviously we don't know all of the ins and outs, and it's hard to say.
The other thing,
I don't know if he was into. I don't know if he was into auto asphyxiation or any other.
He was found sitting. That's the weird thing. He was found sitting in a chair and choked himself out. And right. I don't know if it's those same drugs that maybe they numb you out to the point where you have to get your rocks off by getting.
I'm trying to think of the guy from Kung Fu that recently had done
Carradine.
That. Yeah,
David Carradine.
David Carradine. Yeah, it was funny. It was a meme.
Ha-ha.
A meme. That guy choked his chicken. Yeah,
to death.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the guy apparently had money problems, but who doesn't have money problems?
Robin Williams.
Yeah, and he battled depression. He battled drug addiction, and I mean things that I would say a large segment of the population deal with, but there's a large. It's a tragedy, and I wasn't a big fan of his stand-up, but I loved his acting. So,
me too.
I don't. People get so upset. They're like, "How dare you? How can you dare be critical?" It's like, I just didn't like his stand-up. I thought that his acting in movies was great.
I thought his stand-up was corny, but his acting was great. I'm with you.
Yeah. It was just cheesy, a little bit too over the top.
Ball.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, what do I know? I mean, Richard Simmons seemed like a cheese ball to me, but
is he dead too?
Hundreds of thousands of women bought tapes of him
sweating with the fatties,
sweating to the oldies and
I got that wrong.
The rockabillys. See, if they would have had something like that, I might have listened.
Listen to me right now.
Punk rock.
Is he dead?
No, I don't think so. No, he was actually just ranting and raving about something, and he was getting a little press not too long ago. I don't remember what for, but I saw him and the headlines, probably being critical or saying something stupid, something politically incorrect.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't surprise me.
Put Richard Simmons into the Google News. Let's see what that says.
What's on the mind of Richard Simmons? I got to know.
Yeah, now I want to know. Richard Simmons. I mean, now we can't. Simmons.
Spangle. He looks ridiculous now because he's all wrinkly and old.
Oh, yeah. He's probably done a bunch of work to himself, too. Let's see.
Sweating with the fatties.
Official site and Clubhouse. Weight loss. Going to bed? All right. My beautiful bride. My lovely.
Oh, we're going to wrap this up anyway, so she can wait for you. We're only going to be a minute.
I will. Let's see. News. Richard Simmons calls Aubrey Pizza Princess Eyes Plus. Is this really news? July 30th. Let's see. I mean, he's a popular meme. Let's see. This is the kind of information you get here only on the Doomcast.
That's right.
Aubrey Pizza stopped by The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon to film a web exclusive called Unqualified Advice. Okay, so, yeah, he was in a skit. He made news. That's big news.
Hey, he's still relevant. He's still keeping himself relevant in his little, 1980s John Stockton basketball shorts and his gross...
He's famous in that Gary Coleman kind of, sad way.
That creepy kind of Gary Coleman way. My name's Charlie McGrath. My website's wideawakenews.com. My co-founder...
What's your name? Wideawakenews.com? You are tired.
I said my name's Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of wideawakenews.com.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm tired. I heard that wrong.
Maybe I have to re-listen now and get to the end and see what I said. My name's Charlie. My name's Wide Awake News. My website's charliemcgrath.com. My co-founder is Doug on blacklistednews.com. You can contact me, info at I'm falling apart. Info at wideawakenews.com. Doug Owen at blacklistednews.com. How else can they follow our work, Doug Owen?
On Twitter at Doomcast Show and, of course, Doomcast.com.
Peace out, y'all. We'll see you next week.